Welcome to the Mind Myself podcast. I'm Esther, and it is my pleasure to be bringing you information about healthcare approaches, health issues, and people's health journey stories, all from the complementary, holistic, and integrative perspectives, helping you become your own best health advocate and helping you make your own informed choices because you matter. Welcome to Mind Myself Conversations with E. I'm Esther, or you could call me E, and I am so pleased to welcome back to our podcast a guest, François de Neuville. Hopefully I got it right this time.
Perfect. Hi, Esther.
Hey, welcome, François. Maybe tell our audience again a little bit about who you are and how you come to the table. And and before you do, the topic of today's conversation is childless after IVF from a man's point of view. So maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're bringing to the table to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much. So hi, everyone. My name is François. I'm from Belgium. I'm living a nomadic lifestyle for the past 7 years. I'm married to a beautiful, amazing woman. I'm a former commando-paratrooper. I'm an adventurer, an entrepreneur, and a double natural disaster survivor. I work as a high-performance coach, speaker, and writer to help people master the time, master themselves, and really create an epic life for themselves. Yeah. So I think this conversation about childless after IVF, well, I experienced that in my life, in our journey. We had to go through this, and that created a lot of struggles, to say the least, a lot of pain and suffering as well that we learned to manage over time, but it was still a struggle today. And it really taught me a lot of things and changed a lot in how I live and in our relationship.
Absolutely. Well, let's start near the beginning of the journey, François. And what did you know about IVF before you started, and what made you choose to do that with your wife?
I didn't know much, to be honest. And I think it's kind of normal. This is not really something that you look for if you don't have the need to, right? So it's something, if you fit and healthy, you don't really look about cancer treatment. That's not really something you would naturally do. And that's the same for IVF. So it never really crossed my mind that one day I would be on Google searching for those kind of things. Yeah. But unfortunately, it happened.
Right. And so you found yourself with Rihanna, your beautiful wife, in this situation of saying, we would love to have a child. And how do we go about this? Where did you turn to for information to start? I know Google, but what did you find at the beginning?
I think if I go a little bit back, this identity we create, I mean, if you want to be a parent or not, everyone has his own choices. But when you really want that, since I'm a kid, I don't even see an option not this happening. I've been in touch with kids my whole life. My mom was a teacher. I've been doing in the Scouts. I was a leader there. I kept being in touch with kids all the time. And I love kids. And I really saw myself as a father. And like, okay, when the right moment is going to be there, finally, that's going to be amazing. And then we talked about it, it goes in a relationship, you start talking about that, and it's very exciting, and it's like full of dreams, full of ambitions, and then we're going to do it, we're going to do our best, and starting researching about how parenting and taking courses and really trying to prepare the journey to be the best of who we could be, to accept a little one in this world. And then nothing happened. After more than a year, and then suddenly we started realizing something is not going right. And so we started doing some research to see what's the problem, right? First time on Google, like, how long should you expect to try before getting pregnant? And then you see, oh, we're in this zone that you should seek medical advice because maybe something is not very right. And so we were abroad at that moment. We were in Indonesia, actually. And we went to a clinic and started asking questions, and we started doing tests to see if there was something going wrong. That phase already, just alone, was very scary. Just the moment to get in touch with reality, still like, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just, it takes time. Some people it takes years, some go faster, but still there is a part of you that is there, and you cannot quiet the voice. And so we started doing research and doing the test, and the result came back, and they said, no, everything is fine.
Wow. Everything
Strange,
is fine was the message you got, but no success.
but no success.
Mm.
And so time passed again, and then we were in Nepal, and we did other tests there. And every time doing all the tests again, because of course a file coming from Indonesia to be read by a doctor in Nepal, they were like, oh yeah, but we want to do our method, our things, our stuff, you know how it goes, right? And so we had to do all the bunch of tests again. And it was really intense. I mean, on the body, but on the mind as well. You know, when you are in a country, everything is different. Culture is different. Hospital are different. The healthcare system is different. The level of healthcare is also very different. And we're still trying to make our tests there and receiving results that are also like, no, we cannot really see anything relevant that explains that. And so you start feeling despair, right? Not understanding. I think this we need to know as human being. When we don't know, it leaves the door for so much hope, which is great in a way, but when it still does not happen, you're like, there must be something. And you start asking those questions. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with us? Why does it not work? And
right. I can only imagine how difficult that was for you. And how would you talk about how that was between the two of you? And you also mentioned that you were a nomad. For how long did you travel and try this? I've asked two questions. How long did you travel and try this? And how is it like between the two of you as partners?
Yeah. For the past 5 years, we tried to have a kid, and we were on the road already 2 years before that. So that has been a long time on the road and trying to navigate these issues in the same time. Now, I think the difficult part, for me, this first part of discovering that, oh, there is a problem, we don't know what is the problem, it's unexplained infertility. So we need to deal with it because it's unexplained, but there is still a problem. And then after moving from this to medical procedures, this was a difficult step. Because first of all, is the realization that maybe the dream that you always had is not going to happen. But still, there are medical processes that are there. And so you're full of hope. And sometimes statistics are a little bit deceiving, thinking, oh, but don't worry. I mean, that was also what I thought. I'm going to do a medical procedures in IVF. And I mean, that's going to work. I mean, that should work, right? I was so wrong about the percentage of success of those procedures. I'm not want to take the hope away from anyone who is facing this treatment for the moment. I just want to be realistic that it can happen and also it cannot happen. I mean, nothing is guaranteed, right? And so I think the biggest struggle, like the pinnacle of the struggles, were when we were facing those moments where after a procedure, we were waiting for the results. So this was agony to wait for something, knowing like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And day and night. And then after that, realizing when it did not work, after putting all this money, this time, it has a toll on the body. I mean, especially for the woman, it is horrible. I was heartbroken to see her in so much suffering physically and having to do the injections and having her bruised belly and putting needles. That was very difficult emotionally to keep doing that, feeling like I don't want to hurt you. I'm so sorry. And I felt so like powerless. I think this powerlessness was really burning inside of me, because like I want to take the burden away from you. I want to take the pain away. I can hold it. Give it to me, but I can't. There's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is being there for support. But you know, we all have different way of coping with things, especially men and women. And it was really difficult sometimes to be there for each other. Although I was 100% there for her, sometimes she felt she would not be heard. And I was doing everything I could to be supportive, but I was rationalizing the situation. Why? Because I tried to protect myself from the emotional breakdown as well. And my way of dealing with, I'm way much more rational. She's way much more emotional. And so my way of dealing with this, it is like, okay, those are the probabilities. This can work, and we need to wait. We cannot change what happened. We can just see forward. And I'm a very optimistic person. I'm always looking to the bright side, to going forward. Now, sometimes it didn't help. I mean, it didn't help me every time in my life to be too optimistic, and sometimes kind of not seeing the reality for what it is, you know,
Right.
And never giving up. That's what I learned in the military. You never give up. Sometimes you need to adjust course to face what is, right? And so those moments were really tough because I wanted to be there for her and she wanted someone for support. And I felt I could not give that, although I was trying as hard as I could. And we realize the way we communicate, the way we process emotions is different. And a lot of time, we expect people to deal with emotions the same way that we do, but we are so different. Everybody is so different. And so this understanding, I mean, that taught us a lot about how the other person is going through emotions, what is the support that they actually need. And funny enough, but it didn't come immediately, me just asking her, what do you need me to do? What should I do right now? And a lot of time we expect the other person to know exactly how to treat you when you're down, right? But
Yes,
people
exactly.
people don't know, right?
And how did you navigate that? Because I think everybody who's in any kind of a relationship, friendship, lovers, marriage, co-workers, we all struggle with how do we relate to and communicate with each other. And this has got to be one of the most fraught and difficult and emotional kinds of situations to communicate about. How did you get through that? How did you come through sharing that with each other and finding your way to each other instead of apart in that?
Yeah. What I realized is that communication is key for everything. But usually we say it's a communication problem. Actually, it's not. It's a listening issue. Because we have 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? I mean, everybody knows, but we still have a really hard time to actually listen to the other person and trying to really understand them. And so a lot of time we talk at each other instead of with each other. And this makes the whole difference. And so we realized that we were already communicating a lot. And I'm a very expressive person, and I like to know, like, if she would come back from a day, like, what have you done today? What can you share your life with me if I was not part of it that day? Because I'm really excited to know and share that together. So our relationship is already very open, and we really communicate a lot to each other. But I realize as much as we communicate, I don't always listen well, because we have our own filters. And especially in a situation like this, when to protect myself, I put a lot of filters. And I'm not shy to say that my mind really deleted things, denied things that happened so I could stay sane, trying to keep my head on my shoulders, you know what I mean? Because it was so emotionally difficult. And I realized, oh, this is the way I process things. My mind is very selective to the environment. I can forget things that happen unconsciously, but on purpose to help me navigate it. And for her, it was absolutely not that. So if, for example, the news was not there, like we would say, it didn't work out for this procedure, we were very sad, the least to say. I would say, next month, another chance. And maybe I was really too fast to go from this acceptance of what it is to let's look for what is the next step. My process is really fast because I cannot stay long with the suffering. I don't do well with it. And so I move very fast, but I needed to honor that her way. She needed more time to fully express the pain that she was encountering. And this, we had to adjust each other. And that was very difficult. And I can't tell you that I found the method or the magic key to do it. What I just can say, the most important is to stay attuned to the other person, to really listen deeply and open the space.
That's such powerful advice. And Francois, where did you go for support? Like you had each other and you did your best and you found ways to be there with each other over time.
Yeah.
Was there any place you as a man in this process found support? And could you talk about it with anybody?
I don't mind to share with a lot of people about my life. Being vulnerable is fine for me because I know this is not being weak, right? This is courage and being brave, and I don't mind. The problem is that I started sharing with friends and I heard like that sucks, but relax, it's going to be okay. Just, it's going to be fine. And I'm more okay receiving this, but there is a moment you're like, maybe it's not going to be fine. And I know that as human beings, we always want to put the hope to the other person. I think hope is amazing, is really important, but sometimes we can trick ourselves to not see reality. And when you share something difficult with someone and they say, it's going to be fine. Just, I have a friend who this happened. And then after everything was great, or they did not work. And then they adopted 2 kids and then they had the 3rd one by themselves. You see, everything can happen. Like, yeah, but you don't feel heard when you say that when someone said that to you, right? And I realized every time I would say it, people would feel uncomfortable. They would feel really sad for me and trying to uplift the situation a lot. And that was okay because I understand rationally why people do that. My wife had a really hard time to deal with this. And I totally understand because you feel not heard. But I was like, actually, why do I care that they know that I'm suffering? Is that helping me to deal with it better? I don't really think so. If the whole world know that I'm sad, is it really helping me to be happy? No, it's not. It's not. So I realized this is the work that I need to do with myself. And my parents are very good listeners, and that was great. I could share with them and have the support, and they would not try to fix. They would not try to give tips. They would just open the space, receive it, and say, "We think of you."
Oh,
And I think
how blessed you are to have parents.
I
like
am.
this.
I really am blessed with my parents. And I think this is the answer. I mean, if you have people, for the listeners, if you have people that are in your surroundings that are suffering with those kind of situation, going through that, you don't need to give them advice. They've been doing the research on Google, right? You don't need to tell them how to do it. They've been thinking about this every single second of the day for months. They've been crying it overnight. I mean, they've been deep in that. So there is nothing that's going to help them. And knowing that the latest trend that the neighbor of a cousin did, following and eating whatever, pineapple, whatever. I mean, just open the space and be receptive to receive what they have to say and acknowledge them for whatever they are without trying to show them the light, right? I think this is very important.
Yeah, I think if there's anything anybody hears from this talk, that just hold space for people, love them, walk beside them, and listen. Those are the key important things. Yeah. And Francois, how long did you and Rihanna, how long did you try? And then what happened?
Yeah, so for 5 years, we had multiple medical procedures, and it was about, I would say 6 to 8 months from now, we decided we're not going to do one more procedures, because where does it stop? The emotional and physical toll it has on the person, but also on the relationship, is immense. And I'm not even talking about the financial aspect. I mean, if you put everything together for that later chances of success, you think twice about keep doing it. And like, we want it so badly, but there are conditions. And that's where we started putting everything into perspective, because yes, we do really want a kid. Is that worth that we divorce because we cannot deal with each other? No, I don't think so. Is that worth that we are indebted ourselves so much that we are stressed for the rest of our lives? We need to work so hard, not being there as a father and as a mother to raise our kids because we have so much. I'm like, well, actually not. So when we put everything together, it really did not make sense to keep doing those things because it was too hard on us. And so we made these conscious, very difficult decisions to say, we're not going to do another medical procedures. And right now, we're just going to move on with that and make peace with the fact that, first of all, the guilt of not doing one more, because this is not easy. And there are some haters out there that said, oh, you don't want it bad enough. And those people, I want to treat them with compassion and love, but they must be very hurt to say that to someone, right? Now, it was this acceptance of the reality. And that's where it was really hard on me, this realization that, oh, maybe it's never going to happen. Maybe I'm never going to be a dad. Maybe this dream, it's not going to be mine. And I think I realized that I put that in a little box for 5 years, thinking it can still happen. Don't look at that yet. But now when I opened the box, it was very confronting. And even when I'm talking now, I feel emotional. I feel like in my stomach, it's like, really? Really? Is it really going to be your journey? But we cannot try to control what we can't. And I think for, previous conversation, when we explain about pain and suffering, the more I try to control something that I can't, the more I suffer. And because our reality is completely determined by what we focus on, we realize we have a choice. We can focus on the lack or focus on the abundance. And now we made together this decision to say, you know what? Let's build an extraordinary life. And if we have a kid, great. And if we don't, you know what? We still have an extraordinary life together. And I think that was a massive transformation for us. And that's where we realized to put the focus where you can change, when you can make a difference, right? So this was the big shift that helped us in our journey.
That's amazing, Francois. And I know that you and Rihanna, your wife, are open to talking about this with other people who are going through similar journeys, either successfully or unsuccessfully. And I know that Rihanna is holding some workshops and epic adventures for people to process this. So we will definitely put the contact information for both you and Rihanna as part of this video so people can reach out. But what you just said to leave us with, that is, I just so appreciate you sharing so openly and with such heart your journey that's been so difficult. So thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Is there anything else that you want to say to somebody watching this as we wrap up?
I would say that even if it's absolutely not your situation right now, you can always keep working on listening better to the people around you, on being there for them. I think nowadays there are so many things that are fighting to have our attention all the time. The people you love, they deserve the gift of your full attention. And this is one thing I want you to leave with, that just offer them that gift. Offer them your full presence with them when they need you, and even when they don't need you. A relationship, it can be a love relationship or a work relationship, whatever it is, it's to be there for each other in times of happiness and also in times of struggles, to help each other navigate the difficulties of life and also create their dreams. It's both sides. And a lot of time we want to help by speaking, talking, giving advice, etc. Just hold the space. Let the person be heard, seen, and understood. This is a wonderful gift you can give to the people in your life. Yeah.
A powerful ending. Again, thank you, Francois. Blessings.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us at the Mind Myself podcast today. We know that time is precious and you've spent some of your valuable time with us. We're grateful. If you would like to reach out to our guests directly, the information is below. And if you would like more from Mind Myself, that information is also below. Please visit our website and check out all the information about the different complementary, holistic, and integrative healthcare approaches, information about health issues, more podcasts, tons of blogs, and we even have a community page for you where you could reach out and tell your story safely, or you could ask questions and perhaps somebody else in the world is going through something similar to you. In any case, we're so glad you're with us, and we're doing this because you matter.